Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. In this video, I want to give you guys a little bit of a Heartland Season 19 update, as we still have no official confirmation regarding Heartland Season 19, if the show has been canceled or not, or if there will be a Season 19 of Heartland. In today's video, as you can tell by the title of the video, I want to talk to you guys about why Heartland could actually be canceled. Not just Season 19, but obviously the whole show, if that was the case, because it's been a while since we have had any interaction from the Heartland cast regarding just anything about the show, really, to be honest. Amber's been really quiet on social media regarding the future of Heartland, and we haven't seen any, update on Season 19, which, yes, is normal, but at this stage, considering that we're going into April, it's a little bit concerning that we haven't seen a filming schedule or any kind of update like that. Even though, yes, at this point those would be considered leaks, it's still a little bit concerning, in my opinion, that we haven't seen anything like that. Now watch I make this video and we get the announcement tomorrow, but hey, that'd be completely fine. However, before I continue, I need to remind you guys to please leave a like on the video if you enjoy, and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more videos like this in the future. So when it comes to the future of Heartland, I obviously never want the show to end. I make money talking about the show on the internet. It's my full-time job to speculate on what is going to happen in the future of the show. Obviously, when the show ends, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I don't want the show to end. However, since Graham Wardle left in season 14, it'd be stupid for me not to acknowledge that the overall community that Heartland has on social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, I cannot not acknowledge that there has been a huge negative effect since Graham Wardle left Heartland in season 14. And to be honest, I don't get it, because Heartland is a family show. It is a show that people watch. It doesn't matter what age you are. Heartland appeals to a wide demographic, and Heartland also is one of the very few shows on television right now that is a clean family show. So, I don't understand why Heartland fans are the way they are, but then if you watch a show like When Calls the Heart, and a lot of those Heartland fans that do, watch Heartland also watch When Calls the Heart. And it's interesting because I started watching that show with my sister. She actually was the one that found When Calls the Heart first, and then I started watching it with her. But it's interesting because When Calls the Heart faced the same issue that Heartland has faced since season 14, when, of course, in When Calls the Heart, Jack died, and in Heartland, of course, Ty died. And it's interesting because When Calls the Heart, for some reason, I don't quite know why, the fandom and community surrounding When Calls the Heart, they seem to be more okay with moving on from Jack's death. And with Heartland fans, it's like not possible to move on from Ty's death. And I don't understand it at all. It makes no sense to me under the sun why people that watch the same shows would be okay with one of the shows moving on, but not the other one. And it's interesting because as you watch Heartland past season 14, you can see that the Heartland writers, if you understand anything about writing for TV shows at all, you can totally see that they're being very cautious when they're introducing Amy's new love interest, that being Nathan Price. They're being very, very, very cautious, knowing that obviously Heartland fans are still grieving the loss of Ty, despite that being like 5 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever it is. But they know that the majority of Heartland fans, I don't think it's a stretch to say the majority of Heartland fans are still very, very upset by that. which I don't get, but anyway, we'll move on from that. They're being very, very careful not to introduce Amy's new love interest too fast and not to focus on the new relationship for Amy too quickly. But with When Calls the Heart fans, it's like as soon as Jack died, then they introduced a new love interest for Elizabeth, and Heartland fans were, not Heartland fans, sorry, When Calls the Heart fans, for the majority, were fine with it. And I don't know what they did different that the Heartland fans have not, the Heartland writers, have not done. Makes no sense to me. But here's the thing, if Heartland fans don't get invested in Amy and Nathan's relationship, then guess what's gonna happen? Ratings are gonna drop. Guess what CBC cares about? Ratings and viewership, because that equals money. So then if they don't have high ratings and viewership, then they're going to be like, hey, well, maybe the show isn't as popular as we thought it was. Maybe it's time to end this show. It has been going on for 18 seasons now. Maybe it's time to end it. And I don't want that to happen, and I'm sure if you're watching this video and you panic-clicked on the video, you don't want that to happen. But guess what? If Heartland fans are not open to the idea of, yeah, death is a part of life, Ty died, but Amy has to move on, if they're not open to that and understand the storylines behind that and the storylines that could bring for the future of Heartland, and for Heartland fans to just know that if they are okay with those storylines taking front and center for the next couple of seasons, well, honestly, Heartland could go on to have 30 seasons, in my opinion. Because I don't think that Amber or Michelle or Sean or Chris or any of the main Heartland cast want to end the show. But guess what? If ratings drop, if viewership drops, then they're going to have no choice, because CBC as a network are going to be like, we're done, we're out. And, from a marketing perspective, I get it. From a TV network standpoint, I get it. If viewership drops, then what do? You cut your losses. But, the Heartland, I don't get it, because Heartland, I don't understand why people are so caught up on the fact that Amy can never move on. It makes no sense to me. And I know what people are going to say, that, some people never move on if they lose a spouse or whatever. And I get that, I do. But Heartland is a TV show. You need to look at this from a TV show perspective, not a real life perspective. And I know what the haters are going to say. Hannah, the reason that people love Heartland so much is because it's so realistic, it's so relatable. Yeah, I get that too, but guess what? People also move on if they move a spouse, if they lose a spouse as well. That's just part of life. Some people do, some people don't. So the Heartland writers are allowing Amy to move on from Ty's death. But guess what? If the Heartland fans and the Heartland community as a whole, if the larger community is not okay with that and they stop watching because they're so upset and they're so sad for whatever reason, then guess what? Heartland is going to be canceled. Not because Amber Marshall wants it to be, not because the Heartland writers want it to be, but because CBC is going to see a drastic drop in viewership, and then they're going to be like, what are we doing this for? The show is not popular anymore. Let's cancel it and come out with a show that attracts more viewers and audience and stuff like that. It makes complete sense from a TV network standpoint. I don't understand. If I think about When Calls the Heart versus Heartland, they have both faced the same problem, and one of the shows pulled it off perfectly, and the show is honestly going to go on for a lot more years probably, and then there's Heartland, where Heartland fans are furious that Amy is possibly moving on with Nathan. And that might be the reason that Heartland ends before it could, because CBC sees that, Heartland fans are not as engaged as they were before, and that is simply because the majority the majority of Heartland fans in the larger Heartland community, I think it's fair to say that, they haven't moved on from Ty's death, and they really should, because Heartland's going to end if they don't, if you want my opinion, and that is of course why you're watching this video, so I'm giving it to you. If you want Heartland to continue, you need to be okay with Amy moving on with Nathan, letting her start a new chapter of her life and view it as a new chapter for the Heartland story. It's not that hard in my opinion, and I don't understand why it's so hard for the greater Heartland community to accept that. But that is all I have for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.